Man, short and sweet. I love it. Good. Oh yeah, 100%. Or he'll take your sight away like he did with Paul. Yeah. There's Jesus cured a lot of people that were blind, and he did it in different ways. And remember, the Bible's very specific, right? Nothing is not on purpose in the sense. One of them, he spit into dirt and made it mud, and took the mud and put it on the eyes of somebody, and then told that person to wipe the dirt off their eyes. You see where I'm going with this already? Told him to wipe the dirt off his eyes. As soon as he wiped the dirt off, he could see. So now take that as a metaphor. What dirt is over your eyes right now that's not allowing you to see life the way you need to see it? Everything is done for a reason. Because that's what we have. You probably have a dirty lens. You're seeing things through a dirty screen. So you're not seeing the whole picture. You're just seeing the dirt on the screen. But the beautiful view is still beautiful if you can remove that screen. So good stuff, brother. What you got for me, sis?
Action word.
Yeah. Good word. Anything about recovery you might have learned lately? Something you need to start doing or doing more of?
Think first before I act.
There you go. It's a great life lesson. I need to practice that a little more too myself. So don't. It's definitely a practice. What do you got for me, sis? What's her name? Lauren. Action word life lesson. Something you can practice to make you better, and it's something you learn from life. Good word. Anything specific that you think you need to be consistent with today that you did yesterday?
I'm new to I've never done detox or
Okay.
anything, so I really don't really know.
You could just be consistent in your learning of what this is. Doesn't actually have to be an action, and at the very least, if you don't pick up today because you didn't pick up yesterday, you just added another day. So at the very least, it could just be the consistency of not picking up right now. But I've met a lot of one and dones, so I don't think you can't be one.
I kind of one and done. Whenever I do something and I'm not never doing it again.
All right. So looking forward to walking with you and seeing that become reality. You're welcome. What do you got for me? Nothing? Nothing you can practice here to make you better? You can practice smiling. You're already doing that. That makes things better. What? Very good. And then something life has taught you. Yes, it will. It will either teach you patience or it'll break you because you don't have patience. It's either one or the other. If I'm not learning patience, that means I'm what? I'm impatient. Right? I get in trouble when I'm impatient. I'm very impulsive when I'm impatient. I make a lot of stupid choices when I'm impatient. Our past could be a history lesson, or it could be our tell us our future. If we don't learn from the past, my past keeps repeating itself. So I could look back and be like, well, if I don't start doing that, that's going to happen in the future again. Like it could tell me my future. So good stuff. What do you got for me? Good morning. Determination. Good word. And a life lesson, something you've learned from life. Yeah? I heard a great quote. Wake up with determination. Go to bed with satisfaction. Every morning I woke up determined for the drug. I got some sort of satisfaction throughout the day because determination, we look beyond the work to get the thing. Determination, our eyes are on the thing. So we're determined for the drug. I'll walk a mile in the blizzard, right? I'll not go to work and be broke I'm determined. So the work is never too much. So what I realized was when I was early on in recovery and the work was starting to look like too much, what I was telling myself was I was losing determination for the reward. A lot of times we look for motivation. Motivation is an outside factor. Like music when I'm jogging motivates me. If I don't have music, I don't jog. So therefore, I'm not determined to run. I need the music. In recovery, I learned I had to start removing some of these things that I need to motivate me at times, because if I can't find motivation, I get demotivated. If I can't find something to push me to do it, I get more upset and I procrastinate more. So it's not about you can, you will. It's about I can, I will. It's a perspective shift, right? It's encouragement. When we say we need motivation, it's encouragement. You said determination. So you don't need encouragement. You have a vision of what you want, and that's what you're going for. So good stuff. Good stuff. What do you got for me, brother? All right. If you think of anything, let me know, all right? What do you got? You got it. What do you got?
Confidence.
Ooh.
And life lesson is little by little I will get caught.
Amen. I had somebody, I had a mentor say, don't have confidence, have Godfidence.
There you go.
I thought that was clever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so, and then you said, so confidence, what's your personal definition of what confidence is for us?
Self-reliance, like, I mean,
Good.
Just because I was homeless for so long, just hustling for myself for so long that, I mean, I fear nothing in life, really.
There you go.
Yeah, you know, there's nothing out there that's going to beat me down more than I beat myself, you know?
Yeah. Confidence is our reputation with ourselves. How many of you were confident before you walked into Walmart to Boost?
Always.
Always walked out with something too, right?
It doesn't matter if you're confident though, like you gotta, like me and a lot of us gotta accept that, like at that point we would have done more for the drug of our choice than we would have ever done, even to this point in our lives, for anything else. Like,
Yeah, but we're confident that we could do it, though, is what I'm saying. We're confident that we could go do what it is that we have to go do.
yeah, like you could know that like the drug is fucking up like your relationship, and you could love the person, and like you're still not gonna get that shit up.
Yes.
Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying. Self-confidence is our reputation with ourselves. So if we don't have self-confidence in getting better, it's because the reputation we have with ourselves might suck right now. How many times did you tell yourself you were going to stop and didn't stop? How many times did you tell yourself you weren't going to go hurt that person no more and hurt that person? How much did we lie to ourselves, let ourselves down, break promises to ourselves? If you're like me, for a really long time you have. So we have a bad reputation with ourselves. In order for me to have a good reputation with you, what are some qualities I need to have?
honesty.
Good. What else? What are some qualities somebody would need to have in order for them to have a good reputation with you?
Because I mean, you lie to yourself the most.
Yes, good. Would you say? Dependability, good. Honesty, respect, good. Anything else? What? Yes. Compassion. Yes. So if that's what someone needs to have a good reputation with you, you just told yourself what you need to start doing for yourself.
Yeah.
If someone needs to have respect and compassion and loyalty and all these things for them to have a good reputation, you just told. Why do we trust Amazon? Why does Amazon have such a good reputation? Because they always deliver. Such a good reputation. And I use Amazon to compare to faith and recovery. Hear me out for a second. They have such a good reputation that you will buy the product. You will give them your money before you get it. You're not trying to close on. You don't even know if the electronics work. You're giving them, so you're buying into it first. And then you get the product. Faith and recovery work the same way. You got to buy into this shit first before you get the product. You got to be all in before you start getting product. So how are you buying into your faith? How are you buying into your recovery? Are you buying in, or you want the product first before you buy in? You want your life to start getting better first before putting work in, before we put in work to make our lives better. We want things to get better before putting in work to give me the confidence that it does work, so then I go and do. That's not how this works. I wish it did. I would have got this shit right a long time ago. How are you buying into this? Have you bought in yet? Just coming here and getting off the drugs and sitting in these groups ain't you buying in. What are you doing with these groups? What are you learning from these groups? What are you practicing from these groups? What are you learning on your own? What are you doing on your own? How are you buying in? Because if you're only buying in with 5, don't get upset that the jackpot is only $50. When you got another $2,000 in your pocket that you're holding off and you're procrastinating and you're not doing the shit you're supposed to be doing. You got a whole pocket full of money, but you're keeping it in your pocket. You're not buying nothing with it. So we're procrastinating. We're not putting no work. So we're walking around with the money in our pocket. You're walking around with everything that you need to do to succeed. You need to look in the mirror and understand that's the buy-in. You need to look in the mirror and understand that's the buy-in. All right, it's me and you, bro. It's me and you, sis. You look in that mirror and it's like, it's us now. That's the buy-in. I'm buying into you. It's me and you now. We're not going to fuck each other up no more. We're going to get each other through shit now. Look at your active addiction. Look at everything you survived. Everything. You telling me recovery's going to be fucking work? You fucking kidding me? Shit's cake. It's cake. When you realize what you've been through and what you have to do to get better ain't even half the work of what we did to ruin our lives for the time period we lived in it. Not even half the work. Shit ain't 24/7. I get to enjoy life. I get to enjoy life. Recovery should be a way for you to enjoy life, because recovery's not going to take away the hardship. Jesus doesn't take away the hardship. Jesus allows me to navigate through the hardship. Recovery's going to help you navigate. I still have insecurities. I still have fear. I still have abandonment. I still have all of it. Recovery's allowed me a better way to deal with it. Jesus Christ has allowed me to have a relationship with my pain and see the value of my pain so I can earn the reward. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you're going to go through some pain. If you're not willing to suffer for the things you want, you ain't going to get what you want. Look how much you were willing to suffer for that drug. Look how much you got that drug. Look how much you were willing to suffer. Some of us lost kids, family members, jobs, everything. We were willing to lose it all. And because of that, we lost it all. Because we were willing to lose it. If you're willing to gain it all, you will get it. If you're willing to suffer for what you want, you will get it. Apostle Paul says, how much are you willing to suffer like Christ suffered for you?
I heard a guy talking about how his sponsor took him to the beach. And he said, come out here past the break, and they were waiting there. And he goes, how bad do you want sobriety? He goes, I want it bad. He goes, really? Okay. And he pushes him underwater.
Oh, he took that. Yeah, I know that. I heard the other story.
Back up, and he's like, so what did you want then? He's like, I just wanted air. I just wanted to breathe. Mm-hmm. He's like, you gotta want recovery that bad.
Yeah.
You know? That's how bad you gotta have it.
I think it's a Chinese like proverb thing where like a guru and a financial guy, he wanted to become rich. So the guru was like, meet me at the beach. This guy's a financial. What do we got to go to the beach? I want to make money. Don't worry about it. Come to the beach. So he takes him out, right? And he puts him under. And he says, when you want to be rich, just like you were fighting for that air, you will become rich. Because when you're underneath water, nothing else matters. What's the only thing that matters? Your life.
For no man is poor who has friends.
Yes, this is true. But a friend of everyone is a friend of no one, too. Right? So be careful who you pick for friends. Right? So good stuff. Where we at? We got a sleeper. I got your last group?
Yeah, that's
What you got, Max?
Termination.
Good word.
And life lesson, have a backup plan.
Okay. All right. It's always good to have a backup plan. What I've learned, for me, I don't have one. I got plan A and only plan A. When I have a backup plan, I don't go hard enough on plan A because I'm going to fall back on the easier one. So I kind of don't put, for me, I don't put as much effort because in my mind, I have a fallback plan. Like my mother was always my plan B. So I didn't have to worry about paying my rent because I could always go back and live with mom. But it's good to have a plan if things don't work out. But there should be one thing for you that you're determined for, that's what I got to get. There's no plan B, right? For you might be just recovery. There's no plan B. I got to get it. But you could have other plans navigating. So good stuff, Max. What do you got, Aisha? Oh, good word.
My point is, I'd rather adjust my life to somebody's absence than adjust my boundaries
Ooh. Fuck yeah. Good shit. And then I heard one, a rather a humble mistake than an arrogant accomplishment. It's a good quote. Can't say I agree with it sometimes, but good stuff. What do you guys got for me? Where we at? Action word life lesson.
It's saying courage and take it day by day.
Amen. So courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the perseverance through it. So a courageous person is still going to feel fear. The fear is going to catapult them to where they need to go rather than prevent them from going. So if we want to be courageous, we identify that we're going to feel the fear, but the fear is going to be different now. Instead of pushing us back, it's going to push us forward. Like a soldier going to war, they have courage. They know they could die. That fear of dying doesn't stop them from going to fight the war. That's what makes them courageous. So good stuff. What do you got for me, sis? I don't know her name though. What's up? Good morning. What would be an action word and a life lesson? Action word is something you could practice, and a life lesson is something you've learned.
Okay, so what are you asking me?
What is something you could practice today that'll make you better?
Patience, I guess.
Definitely a good one. And what is something life has taught you? Like a lesson. Like if I was a kid, what would you tell me about life? It doesn't have to be philosophical. It could be like tie your shoes before you leave the house. That's a good life lesson. Say again? There you go. Great life lesson. You come home to a made bed. I actually like coming home to a made bed. You got something back there for me, brother?
No, yeah.
All right. What do you got for me? I don't know his name. You know his name? I got you last group? All right. I got both of you. All right.
I wasn't ready last year.
All right. So now you're ready. Come on.
My action word is keep my faith.
Okay.
And my life lesson is hindsight is 2020.
Ooh. Hindsight is 2020. Good stuff. You got something for me, Brooke?
Practicing discipline.
Good shit.
And what was the other one?
Life lesson. Something life has taught you.
Skip that.
That's fine. That's fine. So she said discipline. So I don't know if anyone's ever ate at the Cheesecake Factory before. Has anyone ever ate there before? I hate their menu. The reason I hate their menu is because there's too many options. I never know what to eat. So what I do in my life is I kind of eliminate options to make things a little more clear. So Brooke used the word discipline. And me, in my life, personally, there's only two types of pain that I deal with. It's either discipline and get a reward, or it's nothing and I regret it. There's only two pains I'm going to deal with today. Either I'm going to deal with the discipline of what I don't want to do, or I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to regret it later on. It's one or the other. If you could start maybe closing the options, it might make a little bit better of an understanding of how to navigate. It's like the Cheesecake Factory. If you have too many different things, you're not going to know where to start. You're not going to know what to do. You're not going to know how to interpret what you need to interpret it in the way to actually learn. I eliminate it. I make things one or the other sometimes. I can make it complicated. I could come up with 80 different pains right now I could tell you that I could go through today. But there's only two, really. There's discipline and there's regret. Don't do the work, nothing happens. Regret that my life sucks. Do the work, get a reward. One way or another, you're going to feel pain. You should get paid for it, don't you think? Regret doesn't pay nothing. Regret takes. Discipline pays. Pays off. I've never met anyone who had discipline and didn't succeed. Who actually put in the work when they needed to put the work in and regretted putting the work in when they got the reward. I've never met anyone that got a reward and regretted putting in the work to get the reward. If they're truly grateful for the reward. Let me say that too. Right? Alright, so my name is Mike. My action word is the same every single day. That is transparency, reason being. Secrets are like anchors on a boat. What does an anchor do for the boat? Keeps it in place. Secrets I'm talking about, your thoughts, your feelings, and what you're going through. If you keep your thoughts a secret, they will destroy you. We know that already. Stay in your head all by yourself. Tell me how much fun that is. If you keep your feelings a secret, and you're sad and you're making people think you're happy, but you're sad. When you're not around people, you're even more sad because people don't know you're sad. And then that feeling consumes us, and then we go and use. And then we blame other people for not caring about us, but yet we're not telling people on how we feel. And then if you're not asking people for help for what you're going through, how are you going to get help? You're going to figure it out on your own? Bible says, do not seek your own understanding. Submit your ways to Him, and He will make your path straight. So even if you don't believe in God, I'll break it down logically. By me seeking my own understanding, the first thing that always comes to me is confusion. When I try to understand something, it never makes sense. And then after I'm confused, I'm complaining because it doesn't make sense. And after I'm complaining, I am now doubting. If you're complaining, you're speaking death. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. If you're speaking death, you are now doubting. If you're speaking life, you are now creative. After I'm doubting, now I'm miserable. Nothing's working out, I'm complaining, nothing makes sense. I'm miserable now. Ego has to come in, and ego has to say, all right, wait a second. It's not our fault, it's their fault. And then after ego's best friend, you need someone, Shay? Yeah. After that, ego's best friend comes in pride, and pride says, I don't need anybody's help, I'm going to do it myself. Do you see what happens when me seeking my own understanding? Because I don't know about you. When I can't find an answer, I come up with my own. And mine's never good on why someone might be doing something or not doing something or why I'm not getting something. I never come up with a good answer. It's usually a self-negative talk on why I'm not getting something.
I feel like sometimes people won't say anything so they're burdening other people.
Yes.
I
But-
know, I
yeah.
do that one a lot.
And that's probably because whoever we were around growing up didn't care. And when we did try to explain ourselves, they put us down and made us think that we were crazy for feeling that way. That's why we feel like we're a burden to people, because every time we tried to open up, whoever we opened up to made us feel like we were a burden. Because maybe we were to them because they weren't emotionally capable of helping us. That's it. That's it. People can only meet you where they met themselves. So if somebody is not willing to hear what you're going through, they're not honest with themselves about what they're going through. That's why they can't hear you open up about yourself. Because they ignore their own emotions. So they don't want to hear your emotions. Why? Because your emotions is going to make them feel their emotions. And they don't want that. And they don't want that. One of the blessings of me being a master manipulator is that I pretended to be every type of person that walks this planet. I studied people in order to be able to pretend to be that person. The blessing that came from it is I could speak to any group of people anywhere in this world about anything because of that. Because I pretended to be everybody. So my mind already knows like shit because I pretended to be these things. And once I started to study myself, I started to learn a lot about life. By just studying myself. Because I wasn't always walking with God. I'm maybe 7-8 months, a little bit more, like actually in the Bible. Now starting school and, now part of a church and helping a church grow. I'm not even a year in. We're saved before we're baptized. For you to actually say that you want to be baptized means you were already saved. The baptism is just a public confession, an outward expression of your faith. It's letting the world know. That's it. You were already saved before it, if you've been saved. So, that's the action words, life lessons. Procrastination is like a credit card. It's a lot of fun until you get the bill. It's a lot of fun for me to go do what I want to do instead of doing what I have to do. But then when it comes time for me to get something out of life and I don't, I'm upset. The greatest amount of wasted time. The greatest amount of wasted time is not your active addiction. That actually should be an investment. The greatest amount of wasted time is time not getting started on something. It's the greatest amount of wasted time. The time not getting started. Because once you get started, you're like, well, what the fuck? I should have started this months ago. Should have did this years ago. Pretty sure you might have said that, you might have heard people say, wow, I wish I would have started this years ago. I wish I would have did that years ago. It's the greatest amount of wasted time is the time not getting started. And then procrastination is the bad habit of putting off to tomorrow what we should have did yesterday. Not today, what we should have did yesterday. What should have you done yesterday? Might be one or two things coming in your head right now. We don't put it off to tomorrow. See if you can start getting it done today. And then Martin Luther King has a great quote about faith. Faith is taking a step without seeing the staircase. Even if everything around you is black and all you have is a candle and you can't see anything, you will always be able to see that next step with just a little bit. When it's foggy out and there's 0% visibility, you could always see where you are. So what do people usually do? They usually drive slower when they can't see too far down. Take that as a metaphor. If you can't see where you're going, start moving slower so it could become clear where you are right now, like when you're in that fog. It could be 0% visibility. You could still see 5 feet in front of you. You can still see in the circumference of the car. And you could drive 20 miles in it. If you're going slow, you'll be less at risk of getting hurt. So maybe you're in that fog right now and you can't see a mile down the road, but you could see where you are right now. Wherever you are right now, work on where you are right now to get you to where you want to go. If we don't accept that we are where we're supposed to be, how are you supposed to know what you're supposed to work on? If you do not accept that the seat that you're sitting in is where you're supposed to be, what that we're doing is we're still future tripping or we're living in the past. If you accept that this seat is where you're supposed to be, what that's going to do is bring you into the present moment. You might not like the feeling because nobody wants to accept that this is where they're supposed to be. Nobody. But if you accept it, this is what should happen. If you accept that you are where you're supposed to be, that acceptance should show you on how you got in this seat. If you could figure out how you got in this seat, not why are you in this seat. You're not in this seat because of your drug use. You're not. We had a problem way before the drug use. The drug use was the solution. The drug use is what might have got you, but we're in this seat from way more than the drug use. If we could accept that, you should start seeing the actions it took for you to get in that seat. If you could find the actions that got you in that seat, you will start to learn on how to get out of that seat and stay out of that seat. If you don't know how you got here, how are you supposed to figure out where you're going? If you're asking why are you here, you're going to go to your feelings and you're going to blame people. It's how did I become an addict, not why am I an addict. How did your life get to where it got? One, it's our choices. But how were we able to make the choices we made? What were we going through? How were we processing it? What was our perspective of what was going on around us? There's a lot that plays a factor. So, we're going to talk about manipulation real quick. What's somebody's personal definition of manipulation? What is manipulation? Well, better yet, what's procrastination? We'll start with that. Procrastination is patience, okay. Pushing things off that we're supposed to be doing, good. Anybody else? Procrastination? So then what's manipulation?
Like trying to get people to do what you want without saying it.
Very good. So in order for us to procrastinate, yeah, okay. What he's doing is manipulating.
And lying is a form of creativity.
And that's even more manipulation. Just to give you guys an example of what it looks like, right? But in order for us to procrastinate, you first have to manipulate yourself. Meaning you first have to tell yourself something to make it okay to not do the work. I'm too tired. I have to wait for this. I can't do this. Whatever it is that you're manipulating yourself in order to procrastinate. And then the mind tells the body what to do. And last group, I came up with a good example, so I'm going to use it again. I don't know about you. Anybody ever wake up withdrawn? Body feeling like shit.
Yeah.
What got you up off that floor? Because it wasn't your body. It was your mind. Your mind was able to get your sick body off that floor, pull a scheme, do whatever you got to do to get the drug. Physically, we weren't capable of doing it, but the mind was able to tell the body to go get it done. The mind is always telling the body what to do.
Because if you didn't get it done, you'd still be sick.
Yes. So if you could get your mind to shift, and for me it's Jesus Christ, you got to get a spiritual walk if you want to shift your mind. You choose whatever you got to choose. But without a spiritual walk, your same thinking that got you in the problem, you're going to think that thinking is going to be what gets you out of it. And that's just the ego. So don't get upset. That's just how we are. We're designed with the flesh like that. We're designed like that because we're trying to be pushed to have a spiritual walk. God is making it that it's the only way that you will be able to navigate and live a fulfilled life is by walking with Him. He made this world that way. Gave us the power of choice, but made it that the only way to truly succeed and live a life of fulfillment and eternal life is through Him. The Bible says you will gain it all and lose your soul. You'll make the money. You'll drive the cars. You'll have the apartment. You'll travel. You'll jump out of airplanes. You'll skydive. You'll do all the things. But you will lose your soul. It won't fill nothing. It won't. So without a spiritual walk, we don't have principles to live by that's higher than our human consciousness. AA, NA, they have the spirit, the principles, your traditions. That is what that program is built on. The steps is for an awakening. That's not the program. When I wake up in the morning, if I don't get out of bed, nothing gets done, but I woke up. A spiritual awakening is only through the steps. The spiritual progression and succession for me is through Christ. For those that don't want to believe in Christ, your spiritual progression is in the traditions and in the principles, not in the steps. I don't work the program, I don't care about it. I don't care what they have to say about that part of it. I believe that the steps is called an awakening. So you wake up. If you are not practicing their traditions and their principles, you are not going to have progression. You're just going to be awoken to something for a little bit and probably go back to sleep. Because you can't keep repeating the steps. You just can't. So the progression has to be through their traditions if you don't want to do God. You got to find something. You got to find something, though. Whatever it is. Don't make it the fucking doorknob, please. Don't do that. Don't do the higher power thing where you make it something that... No, make it a God. Make it God. A being bigger than us. The doorknob is not bigger than you. People's suggestions are not bigger than you. Make it a God. And follow it. I'm a Christian. I hope you pick Jesus. But if you don't, that's your choice. But find one, please. Because you're not going to be able to navigate. You're going to keep getting tripped up. And you're going to keep coming back if you get to come back. You always have another relapse. Doesn't mean you always have another recovery. You always have another opportunity to go out there and get high. You don't always have another opportunity to come back. And a lot of us know that because how many of our friends and family members are dead because of fentanyl? How many people are dead? You think you got one more time? So did they. 10-year-old kid thought he had an opportunity to try a drug. Dead. How old are you? How long you been living in active addiction? And you are still fucking alive. What are you going to do with that opportunity? You're going to complain? Because it's a 10-year-old kid that's going to probably die in the next 5 minutes. What did they do? When are you going to start taking this shit serious? Last time? Or still trying to figure out a way? In order to have something you never have, you have to do things you've never done. What haven't you done yet? What haven't you tried? What haven't you gave your full attention? What have you half-assed? The honesty, everything's on me, man. Nothing gets done is because I'm not getting it done, not because it's not being done for me. And if I can't get it done right now, I leave it alone. I get done what I can get done, though. I'm not a crazy worker. I think some people might think I'm this crazy busy guy. I'm really not. I'm just very productive with my time when I am working. When it's time to work, there's no distractions coming in my life. When it's time to read, that's it. Phone's going off. When it's time to put in work, I'm productive. Imagine if you could be productive for 4 straight hours. Be pointed on something and focused on something for 4 hours with no distractions. You could take off the rest of the fucking day after that. How focused are you on your work? Where's your attention span? How long can you focus on one thing before you start jumping all over the place and doing a million other things? How many of us can sit in a group and actually focus for the whole hour and a half without being on our phones? Not saying nothing to people on their phones. I'm just saying. If the shoe fits. I'm just saying. When is it going to change, though? When are you going to be able to be uncomfortable and still receive information? When are you going to be able to be in a place you don't want to be but still get something out of it to go where you want to go? When is it going to change? Transformed by the renewing of my mind, not transformed by the things that I'm doing for myself. The renewing of my mind. You got to change the mind. That's all this is. Our choices come from a spiritual nature. I say it all the time. There's no... Using is not a choice for me today. My mother passed away on Thanksgiving 3 weeks after a 6-month taper off 120 milligrams of methadone, and I wasn't sleeping, and using was still not a choice for me because I was fucking done. My mother was my best friend. Fucking missed the hell out of her. Didn't even get to see this version of her son. Blame my mother and father for my addiction because they both died from AIDS from heroin use. So they were addicts. I blame them. And they don't even get to see this version of their son. But you do. And that's why I do it. Because you're going to get to see the version that they didn't give up on. Because I'm not giving up on me now. I can make a million excuses. My life has been real difficult the last 2 years at times. There's no more excuses. Our choices come from a spiritual nature. When I'm in active addiction, my choices are bad. Said it last group. I'll jump in a car, double park, driving and drive off with the shit. Excited too. Like I'm in Grand Theft Auto. But now that I'm in recovery, I can't even throw garbage out on the street. I get convicted. I put the garbage in my pocket. And I wait till I get to the garbage can. Active addiction, I shit in a fucking plastic bag and put it on fire at your doorstep. And laugh. Greatest time ever. Your choices are coming from a spiritual nature. If we're not making better choices, we're not spiritually connected to something. We need to get spiritually connected to something. If you don't want to do God, listen, my first 2 words used to be fuck you. If you're real, make my life better, or just fucking end it. Why do you keep waking me up for this shit? That's how I woke up for years. Now I wake up and all I say is thank you. Not even for anything specific. That will change your life. Somebody told me that in treatment, my boy Dog. He's like, yo, I watched this thing on Steve Harvey. He goes, yo, you gotta change, you gotta do this. Changed my life. He said, when you wake up for the first 7 minutes, no phone, no nothing, just say the word thank you. Over and over and over again. My life started to change. Just saying thank you. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. Your words become actions. Your thoughts become words. Your words become actions. The more I said I was thankful, the more I started acting like a thankful person. You got to be careful on what you're saying. Very careful on what comes out that mouth. That tongue is dangerous. The Bible likes to compare the tongue to, so you got the horse, a big horse with a little bit of food. You give that horse a little bit of food, you could get that horse to do whatever you want it to do. Big horse, some crumbs of an apple pie, whatever. You could get that horse to do what it wants. These big ass ships that you see, do you understand it's a small rudder that actually guides these big ass ships? A small rudder. The tongue is that rudder that's guiding your ship. The little bit that's getting put into that horse's mouth to get it what to do, that's the tongue. The tongue is a small part of this body, but the tongue is it controls the body. I'm very conscious of my words, if you guys haven't noticed. In treatment, I did nothing but write words down, look synonyms of words, the opposite of a word. I just really like dove in on how to just change the way I spoke. You got to find different words. We use feelings that are too abstract. I'm afraid. I'm excited. If you Googled synonyms to fear, you will start to learn different words. And you might be like, oh, you know what? I'm not feeling fear. If you actually learn the opposite or whatever it is, so you'll start, oh, you know, I feel frightened. I'm not afraid. So I'm frightened of this instead of afraid of everything. There's different words that will get you to think differently because the brain knows the definitions of words even if you don't think you know them. Because words are being used in the context of sentences. I use words, I don't know the real definition of them. I just know how to use the word because I've heard it used before. So therefore I know the meaning of it by knowing how to use it. So you got to be careful on what words you use to describe yourself. And the label that you use to describe yourself. Because whatever label you use, there's characteristics that come with that label. Whatever label you use, there's a perception of that label in society. That's why you will never hear me identify as an addict. Not while I'm in recovery anyway. Because if I say I'm an addict, there's characteristics that come with an addict. And then there's a label that how society looks at us. I don't blame them though. I really don't. You get in recovery and you identify as the old. No wonder they think once an addict, always an addict. So I can't even get upset with them. Me personally, my recovery is my own. I'm very allowed with it. And some of the things I don't agree with, it's cool. I say what helps me though. But be careful if you use the label as a bad mom. I'm a bad mom. There's characteristics that come with that. I'm a mom that needs to get better. See how it just sounds different? Your whole mind goes different. Instead of I'm a bad mom, I'm a mom that needs to get better. Instead of I'm a piece of shit, I'm someone that needs to learn how to make better choices. Do you just see where your mind is going? And I'm using very simple shit right now. When you say something about yourself or about a situation, you get a feeling you don't like. In that moment, you got to change the way you're saying what you're saying. The brain doesn't know how to register certain things. So you got to understand, in some senses, the brain is kind of like binary code, ones and zeros. You got to understand the brain doesn't register a joke. So when you say, I'm stupid, the brain's not registering that as a joke. The brain's taking that you think you're stupid. Because why are we saying that? We're embarrassed. Defense mechanism. So in reality, you actually do believe it, even though you're saying it as a joke. We're saying it in a joking manner, so we don't think we actually believe it, but we're saying it because we believe it. You see what this does? This shit is wicked. Our mind is wicked. And then try to start learning about the mind, and it gets even wickeder, if that's even a word. Once you start learning about the mind, you start to go places, and you're like, holy shit. It's all here. The world that you're living in is not out there. The world you're living in is in here. And your eyes are a mere reflection of the world you create in your head. I could go around this room right now and ask everyone their perception of reality, and we're going to get different perceptions, but yet we all live on the same planet. We're all on the same planet, but we have different perceptions of reality based on our lived experiences is how we're looking at the world, people, and everything. So the world that I'm in the same planet, I'm just in a different reality, different perception of reality. My perspective changed, so the world changed. I see people differently. I see this world differently. I see nothing but light. I see nothing but, enthusiasm. I see nothing but good. Even in the bad, I'm able to still see good. You're able to see the bad and the good all the time in active addiction, no? We're real good at finding the negative in every positive situation. Well, it's not going to last. Motherfucker, you just got to bless it, and now it ain't going to last. We're real good at finding the negative in every good situation. They call that mental filter. It's actually a negative thought pattern. So let's think of a coffee pot, right? Coffee pot. There's a filter in the coffee pot. We put the coffee grinds in the filter. When that water goes through, what goes into the coffee pot? The coffee, the part that we drink. The grinds stay in the filter. A mental filter is the opposite. Everything goes in the filter, but we leave all the positive in the filter, and we only let the negative go in the coffee pot, and we drink the negative. I'll give you an example. 20 people in a room. 19 of them say you're doing great. One says you're not. Which one are you focusing on? That's mental filter. Well, disregard the positive and only focus on the negative. So if you're only focusing on the one that said you can't do it rather than 19 that you said can do it, where do you think you're going? Where do you think your mind is taking you? Because that's where it is. Our mind is taking us on some crazy ass ride. So if you don't have a spiritual walk or principles that can help you make sense of what doesn't make sense, you are going to try to make sense of what doesn't make sense. And then nothing is going to make fucking sense. Spirituality and faith allows you to know or not know things in order to keep going. I don't need to know everything right now. I just know that it's going to work out. Because if 20 years of active addiction has been able to make my life what it is today, because that's what's making my life, my active addiction is my greatest blessing. I'd do it all over again to live the way I'm living right now. All over again. You know what? You can even add some to it. If this is what I was going to get out of it, so how do you make your active addiction a blessing? How can you see your active addiction as a blessing? Because if you don't feel blessed in active addiction, if you can't find blessings in your active addiction is going to be something that you don't even want to deal with, nor learn from, or nor even want to have happen. You're blessed if you're still here. I see so many blessings in my active addiction. So many. I'm able to remember things like certain situations and events, and how a phone call took me away from this group of people before something happened to those group of people. Or how getting locked up was actually helping me because the homies got hit when I was locked up. How many blessings can you go back and find? Right? So in order for us to procrastinate, we first have to manipulate, right? When we manipulate other people, like Brooks said, we're trying to get something out of them for ourselves. When we manipulate ourselves, we prevent ourselves from succeeding. When we manipulate ourselves, we prevent ourselves from succeeding. So if you are running from the work, you are hiding from your success. I'll say that again. If you are running from the work that you're supposed to be doing in recovery, you are hiding from the success that recovery has waiting for you. If you are running from the work that God requires, you are hiding from the blessings He wants to give you. The magic that we are all looking for. We're all looking for the magic, right? We're all looking for that magic. Well, the magic is in the work that we're avoiding. That's where it is. What are you avoiding today? What are you procrastinating today? What are you telling yourself that's making it okay for you not to get the work done that you need to get done today? How much of the focus is on self-development and being of value? Or is it the focus on being successful? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Do not conform to patterns of the world. What is your definition of success? Albert Einstein has a great quote. Strive to be of value, not of success. So strive to be of value first. Become valuable to people. Become valuable to this world. When you become valuable to people of this world, there is now a demand for you. And now when there's a demand, now you will get paid. Now you will be successful. Because if I'm striving to be of value, that means I'm becoming something. If I'm striving for success, all I want to do is get something. Do you want to become something or do you want to get something? Because if you only want to get something, you're not going to keep it. If you become something, you will keep what you get. How many of us could get a job? How many of us could keep it? How many of us could get off the drugs? How many of us could stay off the drugs? We're real good at getting shit. We can get shit better than anybody can get shit. The focus needs to change from getting shit. It's not the person that can get recovery. It's the person that can keep recovery. What does that person look like? It's not the person that can get the job. It's the person that can keep the job. What does that person look like? Oh, that looks like showing up to work on time. That looks like making sacrifices so I have energy at work. What do you have to do to keep the things you get rather than what do I have to do to get it? Because we will cut corners to get shit we want. But because we cut corners and we didn't earn it, we don't keep it when we get it. Anything that I earn, I keep. It just feels different. I appreciate it. I earned it.
I don't like earning shit.
And it's fine. I mean, it's all right. I mean, at least you're aware of it. I mean, if...
Because all that work for you got.
But how do you know? Have you ever really put in all the work to see that you don't get shit out of it?
Well, I'm just saying, like, you're saying you don't want to lose it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't lose it when I earn it.
Yeah.
When I don't earn it, I give it away. It's like a gift. You know how many times I was given a gift and I re-gifted it? With shit I bought for myself was harder to let go of. So we got to earn it. Time. T-I-M-E. Things I must earn. You don't just get shit because time is passing. Just because you got 30 days doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting better, though. Doesn't mean that you're necessarily getting better. You could be the same person, just not using. And that is highly possible. I know a lot of people with 10, 20 years, same people they were when they were you drinking. They're just not drinking. Nothing's really changed in their life. So don't think just because you got days, if you're not earning those days by putting in work every day, more than not using, this is way more than that. This is about our mind and self-development. This is about us becoming better people. This isn't about us not using. Because not using does not mean you're going to become a better person. I could fuck up shit sober. I don't know about you.
Oh, I do that.
I don't need the drugs. I don't need the drugs to mess shit up. I don't need the drugs to be a piece of shit either. I'm gonna tell you that too. I don't need I don't need it. So therefore, if I don't need it without it, then my focus needs to be way more than not using. Way more than that. It's the mind. How are you gonna deal with life? Not how are you going to prevent yourself from never wanting to use again, because I don't think you could do that. I still get moments where I want to use, but the choice isn't a choice though. But that doesn't mean I don't get urges. It doesn't mean when I come here and I smell y'all smoking weed that I don't feel like I want to go smoke a blunt myself, because that'd be dope for me to be able to smoke a blunt. Music will fucking be dope. I'll probably eat a crazy fucking brownie sundae. That shit'll be fire. So don't think that I don't get tempted, because I do. But it's just not a choice for me today.
Music do hit different.
Everything hit different. Food, music. I'm just saying, but it still happens. So how are you going to deal with life differently? Not how are you going to prevent life from being life, because you can't. Triggers and cravings you can't prevent. Triggers and cravings you got to learn how to deal with. So if you are trying to prevent triggers and cravings, you're going to get fucked up when you get it. Because you're going to feel like a failure. Because you tried so hard to not get it. So now you think you did something wrong because you are getting it. But you're trying to prevent the inevitable. You're trying to prevent something that's going to happen. So since it's going to happen, be prepared to deal with it rather than fighting so hard to not even think it or feel it. You can't. You're fighting with so much energy in the wrong direction if you are. So no wonder you're so exhausted. You're swimming against current instead of with it. Let things happen and learn how to deal with them rather than trying to stop things from happening. I counterpunch. I tell you guys all the time. I'm a counterpuncher. I let the negative thought come and then I do something different with the negative thought. I don't try to prevent the negative thought. Because you can't. Anybody will ever wake up and your first thought negative? Yeah. You couldn't prevent that. You just woke up. You just woke up. So what are you going to do now after you wake up with the negative thought, rather than letting the negative thought make you think you're doing something wrong? So now your whole day is negative. Your whole morning sucks. You're miserable. Now everything is bothering you. You can't stop a thought from coming in your head. I could be watching a movie, just say, about fucking army, see something, and then start thinking about a movie with dogs. You can't stop a thought from coming in your head. You do have control on which thoughts you make reality, though. You get 70,000 thoughts in a day. 70,000. But you get to pick and choose which ones you make reality. So which thoughts are you making reality? What does your reality look like today? Is it negative? Okay. We go with negative. Mentally strong people are going to recognize that I'm looking at my life negative, and we're going to understand that this is not good. So a mentally strong person is going to do this if you think your life is negative. They're going to think realistically and rationally. Realistically, if my life is negative, I'm making stupid choices. Rationally, if I make better choices, my life will start getting better. Realistically and rationally, rather than positive and negative. Because in reality, the choices we make dictate the lives we live. Quote Shakespeare. Think about it. Yep. Think about it. How'd you get in that seat? Choices. What's going to get you out of the seat? Choices. What's going to keep you living a good life? Choices. Choices come from a spiritual nature. So when we make a choice that's not good, then comes a decision. A decision always comes after a choice. I'll show you real quick. So look, right? Fork in the road, right? First, we're all going to choose to go that way. We hit a dead end, right? Then comes a decision to go back to the beginning and now make this choice. I chose drugs, went to jail, went back, decided to do drugs again, went to jail, came back, decided to do the drugs again and again and again. I wasn't making a mistake. I was making a fucking decision. Every time. Why? Because I knew what the right choice was and I knew what the wrong choice was. And I kept deciding to make the wrong choice. So what are you deciding to do with your life today? That way or that way? Which one are we going to do? Because you already know what the decisions are that you need to be making. But we think we're making the same mistake over and over again. No, we're not. Mistakes happen one time. One time. Once you know you did what you did wasn't supposed to be what you were supposed to do, that's the mistake. But once you recognize you made the wrong thing, the next time you do it is a decision. It's not a mistake again. Because you knew it was a mistake after you did it last time. So if you do it again, you're not repeating a mistake. You're making a decision to fuck your life up again. We got to own that shit. We got to take responsibility on that. Because if we don't, we're not going to take responsibility and make a better choice. You got to let the truth hurt. You got to let that shit hurt you. Pain creates change. Hurt your pinky changes the way you use your hand. Pain creates change. So until the pain of active addiction gets great enough to create the change of recovery, we're not going to get in recovery. So that means you have to feel the pain of your active addiction. You got to feel the pain of your fuck-ups. You got to feel the pain of what you did to people. Because that's what I'm speaking from, by the way. It's the fucking pain. I got a lot of goddamn pain. Both my parents died of AIDS from heroin use. 2 grandmothers, alcoholism. Grandfather, heroin. Uncle, heroin. So many people. People not here today because of me. So much pain. The pain should create the change of desperation. When the pain gets so difficult, what usually happens? We become desperate. And when we become desperate, depending on which direction we're desperate in, if I'm desperate to get better, I will do anything to get better. If I'm desperate to fuck my life up, then I will fuck my life up in any way possible. Any questions and anything of the sort? For those that are awake. Yep. Damn, I'm loud too. If you could sleep in this, God bless you. You are loved. I wish I could sleep like that. But any questions? Anything? Everybody's good? All right, thank you guys. Everybody signed? All right.
Did you sign in?